Welcome into the CHGO Bears Podcast. Hope everyone had a very nice extended weekend. Adam Hoge, Mark Carman, Greg Braggs Jr. with you on this Tuesday. Carm thought it was a Monday.
Everyone thinks it's a Monday. It feels like a Monday. We're back to work. We're back to life. We're back at it. Robert Lee, I missed you for 3 days. Good to be here. Really sad that we lost our guy Bill Walton over the weekend. Looking forward to talking about him at the end of the show. Good to see you both.
You claiming him as our guy?
One of the greatest of all time, if not.
Well, that's different. I just didn't. I love Bill Walton. There's a lot of people I think of when I think of Bill Walton. I would not have ever thought of him as our guy.
He's probably not our guy. It's fair enough. But he was. He was everybody's guy.
He's everybody's guy.
If Bill Walton, if we go back in time and he showed up here right now, he'd be our guy instantly. That's the type of dude he is.
Yeah. I'd definitely kick you off the show right now to have Bill Walton on.
I'd retire to have Bill Walton take the spot and bring him back.
No, that one was a tough one. We might touch on that a little bit at the end of the show. But again, I hope everyone had a good weekend. Got some things playing today. We got to talk a little stadium. I know some people get nauseated by it, especially the guy all the way over to my left.
He's excited about it today. I can feel it.
But
it's like a prank.
Yeah, I promise you, this is not so much about the stadium as a couple other big picture things that I think do need to be in the discussion as we talk about this stuff.
Hoge is cooking, ladies and gentlemen.
I got through 1920 football drive. Have some takeaways from that I'd like to share. And, there was some NFL offseason news this morning, too, that we're going to discuss because I have some information on it. Let's start, though, as always, saying hello to everybody. Make sure you're following us on all of our social accounts at CHGO_Bears_sports on Instagram, our CHGO account there. Please hit the like button. Subscribe. Maybe this is your first time with us. Hit that subscribe button. Send the link off to a Bears fan of yours, and if you really want to be intimate with us, you should come to London with us because we're going to London.
We really want you to come to London with us, and it's coming quick.
Yeah,
all you gotta do is put a little deposit down. We'll talk about True Fan Travel, but I'm getting more excited about it myself. Yeah, apparently, everybody on the show has booked their flight except for me.
I don't think that's
I haven't
accurate.
either.
Steven hasn't. I don't think Nick has.
Okay, apparently the guys that I'm sitting to my left and right are both scheduled, and
yeah,
I'm just slacking, apparently.
We're ready to go. Carm, why don't you share with us the news with the stadium that you came upon?
Well, the news is that there is no news as far as the stadium ever happening. And, the old Illinois legislature was, wrapping up the old session here, and they're just
when is the session over?
I don't know. I'm over my skis already. I was not expecting this tip, but the bottom line, and
you put it in our rundown at like 8:00 this morning. Just read what you put in there.
I understand. I've got the quotes.
It was a long time ago.
There's a state rep by the name of Cam Buckner, who might be distantly related to Bill Buckner, R.I.P., a member of our House Democratic leadership, Cammy Buck, as I like to call her. Quote, it's fair to say there won't be any Bears action in this legislative session, which I think is fine. This is on Saturday at the Illinois State Capitol. Braggs was there. Quote, I think a proposal of this magnitude deserves sunlight and scrutiny. And very often what has happened in this building is that things get rammed through at the last minute without much public input or transparency. So I welcome conversations that will probably begin to happen once we're done here. So that was the end of that. And then it just made me think of listening to Kevin Warren a little bit ago, who wanted to have this done in this legislative session this May.
I bet.
Which seems, I'm sure he did, which seemed, and it was actually at that moment in time when he said that Mr. Chicago, myself, and Mr. Kevin Warren will get this done. I actually started to sort of somewhat question. I'm like, you think this is getting done in a month?
Yeah.
Even the most rose-colored glasses over here, and I know that ain't happening. But this was Warren a little bit ago. If we are approved in May, then that will allow us to be able to start construction, to put people to work next summer, and that would allow us 36 months later to open our building in 2028. So this is truly one of those adages that time is money. That's what he said. So they wanted this to move along. It has not moved along. It has not moved anywhere. They've got a lot of politicking to do to get this thing to move along. And now I can turn it back over to you, Hoge, and you can talk about how this thing has gone nowhere in 2 years.
Yeah, so they adjourned on the 24th, Friday. Good for them.
And they're working hard down there.
Yeah, that's great. I would love to adjourn until July 19th when training camp starts. Okay.
Couldn't get to it.
That's a separate subject, I get. Yeah, look, that was never realistic to think that they were, because what you have in here, if we're approved in May, they'll allow us to start construction, putting people to work next summer. That would allow us 36 months later to open our building in 2028.
Yeah, right.
So this is truly one of those adages that time is money.
Well, and
then they do the threat. That was Kevin Warren, and then they do the old threat that every minute we waste costs more and more money because of rising construction costs. So I get all that.
He's probably, I'm sure he's right.
Yeah, he's right. They've been saying that now for 2 years.
Yeah.
And nothing's happened, which is my point. Like when this whole thing started, which I want to say goes back to, was that the summer of 2021 when the statement came out? From our old friend Ted Phillips, that they were exploring Arlington Heights as a property.
We could actually do this in CHGO time for me and Braggs, because we were both hired about a year and a half ago, and one of the first things that we did together where we started to form our amazing bond was go to Arlington Heights and Hersey High School and learn about the proposal in Arlington Heights where there was going to be paddle boats, and we were just all going to be taking a swim before the Bears played, and I thought that was so unbelievably ridiculous. It
sounded lovely.
Yeah, and
it looked lovely. The pictures,
and
great.
We went from
you could buy your own apartment in Bearslandia.
Yeah, it was so adorable. And
June 17th, 2021.
Yeah. And then when was Hersey High School? Because it had to be after that.
There was a statement from. I'll get to that.
That was on the first day of the NFL season 2
Right.
years ago.
Right.
Because we had the iPad out and we were watching the Thursday night football kickoff.
You were watching.
Yeah, I was.
Okay, let me do this.
Yeah.
Okay. June 2021. Ted Phillips expressed interest in Arlington Racecourse as a possible site that they will purchase. A year goes by, over a year. They have this big town hall in Arlington Heights, complete with renderings of everything but the stadium. The whole development were there the night of the NFL season opening.
Yeah.
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 Okay. Which seemed questionable to me at the time. And then when you see when they did the next one, even more questionable. So they do that. So we're 3 years from, I remember when the original Ted Phillips statement came out, and the whole talk was, well, how quickly can this happen? What's realistic? 2027? Could they get it done by 2026? Well, the lease isn't up until, 2032 or whatever it is?
Right.
At Soldier
But
Field.
they can get out in 2026. Yep.
Yeah. So they were talking about that as a possibility. It's been 3 years and nothing has happened. But a town hall in Arlington Heights.
Demolishment of Arlington Park.
Well, that was going to happen regardless.
Well, the Bears were. They had a whole event. We came out. I watched it. I
That's a
videoed
good
it.
point.
I sang a song.
Then they have. So 2
You
years.
wore a hard hat.
I wore a hard hat.
You did.
That was a good
Did
look.
you get hit by anything?
That was another ridiculous day. 3 cranes and a bunch of hoses come on out here and watch us take this down.
Yeah.
Okay.
So 2 years now. We're now 2 years ago. Arlington Heights is the big deal. This is gonna be great. Just got a couple hurdles to get over here, and again, they didn't even have the stadium renderings. So then that all falls apart. Now they have this thing last month, the week of the draft. 2 days before the draft, was it?
Day before.
the day before they're drafting Caleb Williams. And oh, by the way, we're going to sneak this through by May 24th. No, you're not. No chance in hell. And honestly, there's been a lot of pushback, I think, that, especially from the governor, that they're not going to give this money up. So I guess my point is, for those that are like, is this ever going to actually happen? How long is this really going to take? 3 years just went by. Time goes fast.
Imagine how cool the pictures will look 3 years from now.
Yeah.
How about when they do the renderings for Waukegan? It's gonna be it's gonna be so good. Listen, it's right on the lakefront. You don't even know if that you're not in Chicago, because if you look at the water here and the water there, the water in Waukegan is actually clearer than the water on the South Loop.
You know what? Might as well go to Milwaukee.
I mean, sure.
There's a nice lakefront park in Milwaukee that you're looking at it, and they used to do an air and water show up there
stop
too.
Right there, okay.
And you'd be like, "Hey, this is basically like the Chicago air and water show. It's the same lake."
We talked to the people at Glencoe, and we think that's a beautiful area that could potentially house at least half the stadium, and then we could put the other half in Lake Bluff. Anything's possible at this point.
Not going to play the I Told You So tour, but I guess I will.
Go ahead, buddy.
When I say I'm not going to do something, that means I'm going to follow that up by directly doing exactly what I said I wasn't going to do. And like today, this is an appropriate time to talk about a stadium that will never get built. The day before the draft was not that day. And they used all of you as pawns in their little game
really
to try to pressure the city into getting something done a month later, which was never going to happen.
You need to rephrase that. Not pressuring the city. The city's on board. More the state.
Right. Whoever the hell.
But even if you're talking about the media, like, it didn't work. Everybody's balking at this.
Right.
I bought in.
Mark was all in.
You got me.
We know
Mark was in the back going, yeah.
I got there early.
Well, that one guy was praying for the money. Carman's in the background going, hallelujah.
Yeah. God had his hands up.
I walked in there. I went out into the seats. I took a video. I mean, I was geeked. You had me at hello. I believed in you. Meet you too, Crystal. We were walking hand in hand in the Soldier Field that day. This is it. Oh, Pritzker came
out the next day.
Pritzker's not here, and he's upset. And Kevin Warren's response is that he must have gotten the invitation. We sent it, but he never found it because he gets lots of mail. What? That's a problem. You would think that, if you didn't get a response from the governor on the invitation you sent, you might reach out to him with the old, phone. Hey, governor, we really need you on board. What's it going to take? Versus, well, screw it. He's not on board. We're just going to do this anyway and then figure it out after that.
Don't you think that's what actually happened?
I have no idea what happened because I thought that again, believed that Kevin knew exactly what he was doing.
And you don't want to say we invited the governor. He's not on board, so he didn't come.
Look at Nick's in the chat saying, I wish I didn't go. And remember the day you guys came back, and I was pissed off because all I wanted to do was talk about the chance of the Bears getting Rome Odunze. And then I had to waste my time driving up to this goddamn studio to talk about this stupid ass stadium.
Don't get mad at the studio.
Don't use the almighty when it comes to the stadium in a negative
people
way.
do yell at me about that. I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's
regardless.
There's lots of other phrases you can go with. Go ahead.
All right. Regardless, it's a complete waste of breath.
It was one of your worst shows ever. I completely despised you that day. I have no interest in talking about this. Nothing. Okay, then you. It was like I literally did not know what to do. How am I supposed to do a show with somebody on the show who doesn't want to talk about what we're talking about on the show?
Well, I mean, I
But
could draw you some nice pictures.
No, you.
And one of them will be a picture of a middle finger.
Well, look, couple final thoughts and we'll move on. But I just, if I was Arlington Heights right now, I might be, changing my tune a little bit.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've heard that or maybe we could find that out. But that would be one thing I'd do. And then just the last thing is, Kevin Warren, you're not in Minnesota anymore. Like, this is the thing that I keep bringing up to you now for years, Carm, about this idea of the stadium being in Chicago. Right. Again, all things. If you can do it, build it. It should be in Chicago. What I keep pushing back to you on is all this shit that's actually happening. Where's the money? Where's the support? Is this ever really going to happen? And how are they going to screw it up again once they start building it, if it gets down that road? Because that's the track record we have here in Chicago. And I just think that Kevin Warren is learning this right now. And this is a different world you're in. There's way more people and groups that need to be involved, including
a lot of hands in the cookie jar.
Look, whenever you're in a situation where one of the battles you have to have is with something called Friends of the Park.
We're renaming them. I'm renaming them.
Like, this is not
Wait
Minnesota.
till he meets the friends of the park.
Friends of the Park.
You love Friends of the Park. Those are your people.
I'm sure there are some great people at Friends of the Park. There's great people everywhere. But you're not...
You know who would have been friends of the Park? Bill Walton would have been.
The Friends of the... I can't do a Bill Walton.
That was actually pretty good.
Yeah. These people, they like green spaces. Okay.
They love their shrubbery.
I mean, I am one with nature. I love nature. It's beautiful. That's great. Give me all the green grass we can have. But you can't call yourself Friends of the Park when you are just like not friendly to anyone other than the 6 people that you are friends with. Yeah. That made no sense what I just said, but you get the point. All right, go ahead.
Yeah, moving on. We want to make sure you know to check out our friends at Circa Sportsbook. You know this from listening to the show. Circa's the best because they have tight money line splits, low hold model.
They do.
They're just taking less of your money. They go minus 110 split on their menu. Unlike those other sports books, they use minus 115, minus 120. That just means that those other sports books are taking more of your money up front. That's not what Circa Sports does. They have high app limits. They're transparent about everything. Just like right now, we're like, go download the other apps, check them out, and you'll see that their lines are better. They don't limit players based on their winnings. Every player has the same limits, unlike other books that do limit winning players. Then their customer service is top-notch because they have real people behind the Circa Sports brand who resolve issues in a timely fashion. All aspects of their app are being run by the same team that we've met that run the main Circa Sportsbook at Circa Resort and Casino in Las Vegas. Phenomenal place if you ever get out there. But if you're here in Illinois, download the Circa Sports Illinois app at circasports.com/Illinois-app. Again, that's circasports.com/Illinois-app to sign up today. Also be on the lookout for Circa events, watch parties, and tailgates. They are with Greg and the whole crew for all Cubs Friday 120 clubs.
Yep. This Friday, Addie's 6th birthday.
Aw.
If you or someone you know may have a problem with gambling, call 1-800-GAMBLER. That's 1-800-426-2537 or text GAMB to 833-234 or visit areyoureallywinning.com.
That's right. Always winning with Circa Sports. And make sure you're coming out for our trip to London where we're going to beat the Jacksonville Jaguars with True Fan Travel. Make sure you head over to truefantravel.com, search CHGO Bears, and check out our trip from October 9th through the 15th. It's well worth it. You know, it's a trip that, you know, once in a lifetime opportunity. Your passport to the world of sports. Over 8,000 fans travel over 145 different trips Don't just watch the game, live it. Travel to the most sought-after games worldwide, from football to baseball, basketball, soccer, and more. Custom travel packages that include 4 to 5-star accommodations and unique local experiences, making it an unforgettable sports getaway. Including with our London trip, we'll be on a little river boat cruise. That's one of the things we're going to be doing with
who's coming on the trip?
What's that?
Who? Confirmation.
Who?
Papa Hoge.
Papa Hoge's going to be there as well.
Big. That's big.
Hell yeah. Let's get it. Exclusive meet and greets with former players. We're going to have Sean Gale on our trip, former Chicago Bear. Take pictures, hang out, share stories. Hassle-free travel planning by travel experts who make sure every detail is covered, from game day to excursions. So, like I said, your flight to London, 4 to 5-star hotel. We're going to have an event, a welcome event at a local London pub, private boat cruise on River Thames, where I might throw Carman in the river, an all-inclusive tailgate party, upper-level ticket to the Bears game, so your ticket's included. You don't have to go through the hassle of trying to figure out how you're going to get a ticket. Come with us. We got your ticket. Transportation to and from the airport, on-site trip coordinators, breakfast for every morning, even though the breakfasts in London suck. Meet and greet with CHGO. Guys.
For those of you watching this show, I don't mean to add anything to our sales team's play, but we do need separate reads written for just Greg.
No, we don't.
Because he can't process the bullet points. He needs to read every word.
I want to read it all. I'm excited about the trip. So head to truefantravel.com to make your deposit and secure your spot. It's exciting. I want to make sure you understand just how worth it is to go. Because people are like, well, it's a lot of money. How am I going to get my bang for your buck? Well, I'm here to tell you during this ad read, and these two got to sit here and listen to it.
I am listening to it. You know what?
We all are listening to it.
You'll hear something we haven't really talked about?
What's that?
Well, I believe, I don't know if it's 100% confirmed, but aren't we going to the game?
We are.
Well, if people want to go to a Bears game with us, this is their opportunity.
That's what I said. We have their ticket. Because that's the hard part. When you go to a game in London, getting the ticket is one of the hardest parts.
You get to go to the game with
us.
Mark.
With Mark. It's exciting.
Because otherwise, we're not there. We're here doing our shows.
I know. This will be the first game that I'm in the stands for in 2 years. I've literally been missing this. That's why they can't lose that game. I will cry.
Okay.
I will literally cry.
You will get to see Greg cry.
Let me help you out. First of all, what is the nickname of the team the Bears are playing?
When we're in London?
Yes.
The Jags.
The full name.
Oh, I was going to say, you're
the Jacksonville. The Jacksonville who?
Jaguars.
Yeah.
Jaguars?
Yes.
No, Jaguars.
No, I'm going to defend.
You think it's Jaguars?
I am defending Greg on this. He is saying it wrong. He is saying it how Chicagoans say it.
Jaguars.
The Jaguars.
They're the Jacksonville
The Jaguars.
They're the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Nobody gives a shit.
Chicagoans say Jaguars. They really say Jaguars.
We're going to take Trubinsky down to play the Jaguars in London.
You know, I got Tottenham down. I don't call it Tottenham anymore. It's Tottenham.
Thank God.
But I'm not getting Jaguars. It's Jaguars.
All right.
What's a wall?
All right.
Jaguar.
It's French.
First of all, couple things. Number one,
put your hand out.
No, you need to stop talking for 3 minutes. You're in a 3-minute timeout.
Wow.
Number one, the excitement that people should have about going to London is that every single night that they're there, if they want to hang out till 3 a.m. and drink, this guy will be up and will be there for you. If you want to go to any pub until 5 a.m., 4 a.m., 3 a.m., I promise you he'll do it. So that is a selling point that we need to lean into, because there will be a Bragg's After Dark London every single night.
That's scary.
Fuck yeah.
All right, now we can move on to the rest of the show. You're welcome.
All right. Well, to wrap up the stadium talk, in all seriousness, the lease is up in 2033. So at some point there is going to be an actual deadline. If Kevin Warren's talking about 2028, in opening right now, so that gives you 5 years to still figure this out.
No, it was.
And like I just said, 5 years sounds like a lot. 3 years just went by like that. So
I don't know if it went by like that. I mean, every one of these shows feels like 17 hours.
great.
I'm kidding. It always flies by, and I hate when the week ends, and I can't wait for Monday. And this week sucked because we didn't get to be together yesterday. I can't wait to spend every second with you guys in London for a week. Next up, 1920 Football Drive,
Yes.
Hoge.
Well, here's some observations, and this isn't my top observation, but it is a little bit of a transition. I guess I wasn't completely surprised by it, but it was sort of repetitive enough in this episode that I couldn't help but acknowledge it. You can't ignore it. But Kevin Warren just sitting next to Ryan Poles.
Mm-hmm.
Like the front row is basically Ryan Poles, Ian Cunningham, Matt Eberflus, Kevin Warren.
It's weird.
Jeff King's got to go to the second level. He's in row 2. He ends up pulling off a trade in all this. But he gets row 2. And then you got
Row
these
2 is where you get the work done.
You got these scenes where Poles is like literally explaining things to Kevin. Like, I don't know. I don't have a problem with it at all. It was interesting.
Well, but here's the thing. Like that.
I mean, if Ted Phillips had been sitting there though, Bears fans would have lost their mind.
I just think it's odd that when they call up the draft picks, first it's Poles, then it's Flus, and then you're putting Kevin Warren on the phone? That's weird. That's weird to me.
I don't think it's that weird.
I don't know if it's that weird, but when you start thinking about it in the context of other
weird.
teams in this town, like, are you putting Brooks Boyer on the phone after the White Sox make a draft pick? Are you putting Crane Kenny on the phone?
How many? No, you're not. And like, I mean, it doesn't really matter because the phone call is like, it's just a weird thing. Like, hey, what's up? Yes, I'm excited. Great. Please. Thank you so much. Now I'm going to cry. I can't believe it. I made it to the NFL. It doesn't really matter who they're talking to. But do any of these guys know who Kevin Warren is? Like,
Well, if he's been involved in the draft process, I guess they do.
Which is
Caleb Williams, obviously, yes.
Which is another little bit of a weird thing. He's involved in the draft process. He's dealing with the hardest job of all time, which is getting a stadium built.
Yeah, but at the same time, I mean, like, just to play devil's advocate,
Sure. Let's
you
hear
know, when George McCaskey was asked, like, by Mark Potash a few years ago, like, so who evaluates the GM? Who evaluates the head coach? He's like, well, I do. And he was like, well, you just said you're not a football guy. So how can you properly evaluate those guys? So, like, George wasn't even in the room. Kevin's in there. He's seeing the operation. He's seeing how it works. He's what?
Stand in the back.
Fine, but, and that's fine if you don't want him, like, right in the middle. But he's getting his hands dirty in this whole thing, and he wants to see how the whole operation works. That, to me, then gives him more of a say when it comes time to making decisions on guys, on the GM and the head coach. I don't have as much of an issue with it. I get he is way more front-facing than Ted Phillips. But at the end of the day, I want results, whether it's the team or the stadium or whatever. If he wants to be one of these, like, politician types and be in front of the screen and have articles written about him and all this stuff, fine. Just put a winning product on the field. Build a stadium that Bears fans can be proud of. And at the end of the day, I don't care how much he promotes himself.
Do you believe in Ryan Poles?
Yes.
Do you believe in Ryan Poles' draft picks?
Yes.
Do you believe that you will not know if Ryan Poles got this draft right for another 2 years? Whatever. Sure. Do you... So, sitting there, there's nothing really that he couldn't learn by just, if he wants to be in the room, cool. But proof's in the pudding, man. Either the guys are going to be able to play, the Bears are going to win games, or they don't. And that'll let him And then if they do well, you get to keep your job. If they don't do well, then you don't keep your job. I don't know my point is that I don't know how much he actually, like, what is he gaining by just being there, other than the fact that he wants to be there and wants to be front facing. He's enjoying himself,
which is fine. We have no evidence that this is a problem at all.
True.
And we're not bringing it up to like create a problem. It's interesting. It's different. It's definitely different from the last.
Exactly. It's just a little bit different and perhaps a little odd, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
Another observation: the Bears really, I think we knew this, but really wanted Rome Odunze. Mm-hmm. That much is evident in this episode. And for those that don't know what we're talking about, the Bears have a series they do, 1920 Football Drive, on their YouTube channel, and they have a behind-the-scenes episode basically of the draft. And so there's some interesting stuff in there. It is actual footage of what's going on in the draft room, which you don't always get, which is cool. It was just very obvious leading up to whether it's what they're showing from the process or them going through the first 8 picks that were made leading up to Rome Odunze, that they wanted Rome, and there were a few things I was impressed by. For a process that always includes a random pick like the Falcons taking Michael Penix, that throws a lot of different things off. Even these teams, as much as we talk about mock drafts and what we talk about endlessly for months leading up to the draft, and we're guessing what's happening, they're guessing too. And yet, I came away really impressed with like their projections of how things are going to fall. Of like Ryan bouncing off to Ian, who do you think the Titans are going to take here? It's going to be J.C. Latham or it's going to be Joe Alt. And how this is all, the Giants, they're definitely going to take Neighbors.
Poles was almost trying to reverse jinx it.
Well, he like second guessed himself in the last second. He's like, my gut's telling me it's going to be a dude.
But I honestly feel like he was just doing that to like reverse jinx it, like because he was so worried that was going to be the case.
Yeah, no, he's just at that point he's just a human being, like worried that his guy is going to be gone.
He's not you.
I do. I
think actually I agree with Greg on this. I think that's what's going on. I think that was a very human moment of him being like, all of our information here says they're taking Malik Neighbors.
Right. He didn't want
my gut inside is it's Rome.
He was just trying to brace himself for disappointment.
Yes.
Because he wanted it that bad. And I wanted it that bad. Because when we were at the draft party, I was going to throw up at that point.
Okay. You are definitely wrapped up in that's what he wanted and that's what was happening. But you could be right. You could be right.
Yeah, I am right.
Okay.
Another observation that, and this actually is wrapped into this, there was a moment where like Saturday morning they're talking about what their plans are, and they're like, if we take this punter,
that was impressive,
then maybe we can get back into the 5th and get Booker. And look, because our producer Steven brought up a good point in our pre-show meeting, and I'm even thinking of this as I'm watching this. Like, this is edited. Like, how much is this being edited into making them all look like geniuses? But I do think some of this stuff was very, do
you think they went back in the room after the draft?
No, I don't. That's my point. I'm impressed that they're already talking before they draft Torrey Taylor about trading back in the 5th to get Booker, which shows you how much they wanted Booker.
How the hell did they know that Booker was going to fall that far?
That's what I'm saying. That's why I'm giving them credit. You think they went back in the room and
I think there's a 3% chance at least that they went back in the room and filmed that. Say something about Booker here.
Okay.
And then talk about
squash that. let me say I'm I don't know who would be handling this. Whatever. I'm the head of production for this show.
Kevin Kadick
would tell us. The draft is over.
Yeah.
Hey, Ryan and everyone else in this draft room, do you mind going back in the room so we can refilm this?
We would do that. Do that dance again one more time for the London thing. We did that.
And you think Ryan Poles would do that?
Maybe.
You're out of your mind.
If Kevin Warren told him to go back in there and do that, I'd be like, yeah, he'd be like, yes, boss, absolutely. I'll do that. You're my guy. Why not?
Yeah, and further proving my point, I didn't do the London dance. I did my part, and I left. You guys did that, which is what the GM of the Bears would have done too.
You're saying
That's because the GM of CHGO knew who the best dancers were.
That's right.
Thank you. That's right. Right here. Most team guys. Hoge, I'm out of here. Not interested.
Yeah.
I don't think that they staged it, but it was odd. How the hell did he know that Booker was going to be there in the 5th round?
Because this is my point. They're
just that good.
It's their job.
That's what their job. That's what they get
spend
paid to do.
months talking.
That was 100 picks from then. He's already.
They talk to other teams in the league. They start to get a sense of how things are falling. Quit giving me looks.
You will get my looks. You're getting every single one of my looks. That's what I do.
I know. God.
They knew who was going.
They didn't know for sure, but you
122,
planned
123, 124, 125, 126.
You're planning for all scenarios.
Okay.
God.
Okay, there probably was
Idiots.
7,000 other.
You know where I like to go when I get done with shows that I have to do with these two?
I have to take a cold shower, cry myself to sleep.
See, can I recommend something different? Go over to Sunnyside.
Okay.
Check out Sunnyside. Because Sunnyside is your home for judgment-free cannabis shopping. Place where all kinds of visitors are welcome to explore, discover, and purchase a wide array of high-quality products. Sunnyside is everything you need to elevate your summer. And they're a one-stop shop for all your cannabis needs. Sunnyside has an expertly curated menu with over 100 strains to choose from, plus easy online ordering and in-store pickup. Sunnyside is Illinois' favorite dispensary with locations in the city, like Wrigleyville and River North, to the suburbs, and even beyond that. We're talking Champaign, South Beloit, and more. And if you're starting out, Sunnyside is expert guidance and brands we know you'll love, like Good News and Mindy's. And if you're a pro, got you covered with over 100 strains on the menu, new ones added weekly. They know you'll love Cresco, Florical's incredible quality and consistent products. Easy to order online, and they're always there to help you in store as well. Head to sunnyside.shop and use code HICHGO at checkout for 35% off favorite brands like Cresco, Good News, and more to elevate your first purchase. Sunnyside Cannabis Dispensary. Bright buys every day, only for 21 plus or Illinois medical card holders.
And make Ray Chevrolet your first draft pick for your new Chevy this May. Visit our partner to shop their Memorial Day sales event. It's going on all month long. Don't worry about it. It's still going. It's at Ray Chevy on Route 12 in Fox Lake and at raychevrolet.com. It's one of the top-selling Chevy dealers in the Midwest. You'll always be able to shop one of Chicagoland's largest Chevy inventories. Plus, you can find the perfect tailgate vehicle. And right now, you get $10,000 off MSRP on a new 2024 Chevy Silverado. Or, if you're like me, you can lease the new 2024 Chevy Trax for only $199 a month for 36 months. I like to call it Trax technology. Or celebrate Memorial Day on your way and shop over 125 vehicles priced under $20,000. Shop the Memorial Day sales event all month long by visiting Ray Chevrolet in Fox Lake or raychevrolet.com. They've been serving the community since 1963. Together, let's drive. It was by Ray Chevy on Sunday. Just driving by, looking at the cars, having breakfast across the street. It's a great start to the Sunday.
Where'd you go across the street?
There's like a family restaurant across the street.
Where's the family restaurant? I know what you're talking about. I've never been in there.
It's so good. I sit at the counter.
I thought you were talking Whistle Stop, but no, you went.
No.
It's literally called Family Restaurant.
Yeah, it's like something. I don't know. It's solid in there. It's like 1964.
Okay.
That's where they Ray Chevy. They go across the street to have breakfast there. We don't go to no Whistle Stop. That's high level. Fox Lake. That's like for the Richies that hang out up there. I go with the regular people. Whistle Stop. No. By the way, Whistle Stop, we've got ad space for you. We'd love to have you.
You're an idiot.
I'll start going to Whistle Stop. I'll make my switch right now if you want to come on in.
Last couple observations from 1920 football drive, but when it came down to making that Booker trade in the 5th round, they show you Ryan Poles on the phone with some team, and evidently that didn't work out because Jeff King who I mentioned earlier, was in row 2. He's got the Bills on the phone, and he gets it done.
Who was Warren talking to?
He was talking to the Vikings.
Okay.
Yeah. And he says you need to look to the future here. He says that on the phone to whoever he's talking to at the Buffalo Bills. And apparently it worked, because then they even joke in the room. They're like, yeah, you gave him the old you have to look at the future line.
Great move.
It worked.
Yeah.
It worked. And then
Greg, you have to look at the future.
Yeah. So that was just the last point I had on that one. All right, let's talk about this NFLPA offseason proposal that came out this morning. Tom Pelissero breaking this, and I
Friend of the program.
Already heard some of this, and so I wasn't completely surprised by it. I had some information on, but it's Tom Pelissero's tweet saying end of OTAs. The NFL Players Association is working to finalize a proposal to overhaul the offseason starting as soon as 2025, eliminating voluntary on-field work in the spring in favor of a longer training camp ramp-up, with players reporting in mid-June to early July instead. So instead of the situation that they have now, which is like you show up. So the Bears started April 15th. And there's multiple phases to the offseason program. We've talked about this on previous episodes. And it originally just kind of starts with meetings. You can't have practices. You can do some strength and conditioning and meetings. Then you can do a little bit on-field work. But you can't have a ball where there's coaches involved. Or you can work out there without coaches. And then finally you get to OTAs where you can have practices. And then you have mini camp. All that occurs over a 2-month stretch, from like mid-April to mid-June. And then the players go off
6 weeks
for 5 to 6 weeks, depending on, if you're playing in the Hall of Fame game, you have a little bit shorter of a time period. Most teams, you have 6 weeks. And then you show up, and you're expected to pass a conditioning test on day one when you arrive and be ready to go for practice the next day.
Right.
After 6 weeks off. Now, you're expected to stay in shape, obviously, during that time. But this is also the players' time period to go on vacation, hang out with their families, because a lot of these players don't live in the cities that they're in. They leave their families in April. Their kids are still in school to come practice. If it's the summer, they can bring their family with them to Chicago. You know what I mean? So there's a number of different layers to this. But from what I understand is a lot of this is medical research that shows just how they're doing this now, ramping up for 2 months and then breaking for 6 weeks, and then showing up in training camp and expecting to put pads on in 3 to 4 days and go at it hardcore,
right,
is leading to training camp injuries.
Especially if you're getting wasted on the 4th of July like I would be doing.
Excellent point, Greg.
Sorry. Go ahead, Adam.
And that's the information that's actually the medical research they're looking at. No, but so the thinking is instead you skip the spring and you show up late June, early July. You have this ramp-up period to training camp, and training camp starts, and now you're in much better shape. Also, you've retained the information because they break. This is a break. There's no meetings during this time period. So everything you learned in the spring, you break. Now this is your job. You're expected to remember it all. But if you think about it, it's like school. Like kids go to school and then they lose some information in the summer. And there's always like that relearning period that you have to have in the fall. Now it's not exactly apples to apples, but there is some of that when these guys get back to training camp. So that's at least the thinking here behind what the NFLPA is proposing. The media is going to hate this.
You're damn right we are.
and I think that we're already seeing that because there was a couple tweets. I know Steven has these to show that, and it's not just the media, but I think they're some justification going on here. But Albert Breer tweeted, prediction, players, coaches, and anyone else involved in football ops would end up absolutely despising this. As it stands, the calendar is largely filled, but there is a month where guys can get away and people's kids are out of school for vacation and the league shuts down. Daniel Jeremiah saying, this is going to suck for coaches, personnel departments. The break in the NFL calendar married up well with the end of the school year, which allowed families to have quality time together. Getting your break while school is still in session would be a bummer. And there is that side of it. You know, you do have to leave your family in April and May.
Is June not a month?
No, it's not anymore. We've eliminated it.
Like, I mean, because you're off that month, right?
Yeah, I know. Well,
That's summer, right?
Yeah.
Well, there's OTAs in June.
No, but in this new way of doing it, you'd started it the start of July, so you'd have all of June, right?
You'd have a lot of June, yeah, depending on not everyone's school calendars.
You'd have most of June, yeah. That's fair.
Most kids' schools aren't going into June.
Listen, here's Carmen's proposal. You ready? We don't need OTAs, period. Just start training camp when you start it. You got enough time. Just get rid of the OTAs. You can have a rookie mini camp. Bring in the rookies. Let them get up to speed. There's no reason that we had to see Caleb Williams suck against the Bears defense. That was just a worthless thing.
Let it be optional, right?
Well, but then you can't do that because then
Why?
you're not, because there's
OTAs are already optional.
But there's no such thing as optional. You are going to be judged even if they're not taking attendance, whether you're there or not. You put that on there.
But this is part of the proposal is they're going to make this mandatory.
You can't do optional. It doesn't work.
So
it should be optional.
Like with anything else, there's a give and take. My first reaction when I heard about this was coaches are not going to like it. Partially because of the selfish reasons of the calendar changing, but also the meetings they get in the spring are very valuable. That's what you're completely missing when you say just get rid of it altogether. Training camp would be a clusterfuck the first couple weeks because no one would be running around knowing what the hell they're doing.
It's fine.
It's not fine.
It's not fine.
It's not fine.
Caleb had a rough day last week.
Yeah.
You'd be having Tyson Bagent as QB1 if that was happening first week of camp.
So? First of all, I wouldn't. But second of all, you telling me that they can't get up to they absolutely have to have OTAs to get up to speed for the season?
Yes.
Even the COVID year, they were doing Zoom meetings for months.
How's this? Then
part of the reason why the COVID year worked and they showed up to a shortened training camp was because they were still meeting.
All right, get Cole Komet in here. I guarantee you. How's this? You can have. We'll have Zoom meetings during that time, and we'll go over some stuff.
This is stupid. You're proposing something that they're not even proposing.
I know. I think I might.
This is not the conversation.
I think my proposal's better, but I don't think that I do.
There's no way in hell the team sign up for what you're talking about.
Okay.
And they're not even. The players aren't even proposing that. They're proposing that this be mandatory, and it would just shift the calendar. And I think that would be one of the things that the coaches would trade for the change in schedule. Because if you could tell Matt Eberflus all your players are going to be there and you can find them if they're not, the coaches would sign up for that. Because they get annoyed when players aren't there for the voluntary portion, even though they're not allowed to say anything and they don't actually express that outwardly. We all know that's true.
Let me switch it.
But Gary's pointing out in the chat, like, this is going to set up an 18-game schedule and eliminate one preseason game. Well, if that's the case, then why can't this be pushed a little closer to July? There's one less preseason game, so now you only have 2, 3 if you have a Hall of Fame game. So wouldn't the start of this process not have to start until a week into July, like after the 4th, after we all get drunk?
Okay, but all right. Let me rewind and just ask a question to you. Do you think that this new proposal is better than the current proposal?
I do.
And why do you think that?
Because I also think it's kind of silly that they have a 6-week break when they have this whole ramp-up period. They learn all the install. They leave minicamp basically ready to go, and then they have a 6-week break, and they are then expected to show up and pick up where they left off. And I do think that there is a lot of truth to the idea that if you just put it all together in one thing,
okay, I got it.
That would make more sense.
All together now, more logical.
It's tough, man.
Easier streamlining the season, even though it's.
I get the sense of it because, then the football will be more visually appealing, more palatable to start the year because everybody's clicking on all cylinders. But man, these guys never get a break. Who gives a shit about the media never giving a break? Our job's
you're missing
pretty
that they're
easy.
getting getting a longer break. They're getting from the time they leave when the season ends. They don't have to show up until July.
Yeah, but once you start, man, like it's just. I mean,
but to me, that's more similar than like any other sport, or like baseball. Actually, baseball's long.
It's different
longer.
strokes for different folks. But would you rather have your breaks spread out or all at once?
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's the thing. But to me,
especially for veterans, where some of this stuff is voluntary and they don't have to go anyway, or if you do, like DJ Moore said,
but they still
get my $200,000,
right? But they still have to deal with the pressure of if they don't show up.
But when you're certain players, there's not that like
I know,
but that's what doesn't
that's
show up.
1% of the league.
I get it. Yep.
Let me ask you another question. Do you think Hoge brags that this will pass? That the change is going to happen?
I just I want to know what the give and take is, and I see what Gary's saying about this is they trade this for an 18-game schedule based on what Roger Goodell said recently. I think those are on different time frames. Like I do think an 18-game schedule is happening. I don't think it's happening by next year. If they're trading this that quickly, so there's always a give and take. I think that this is more of a health and safety conversation. And honestly, I think what's partly being missed is I don't think all the players are on board with this. Because I think, to your point, Greg, I think there are plenty of other players that are like, no, I like having that 6 weeks off.
And they're used to this, you know?
Yeah.
If it had always been that way, then they'd be used to that.
And by the way, selfishly, if you're asking me what I want, I like how it is now.
Dude, most players hate training camp. Hate it. And now you're saying you're going to make it a month longer?
Dude, yeah, but it wouldn't all be training camp. But
it will feel like
there would
it,
still
though.
be phases where they couldn't literally practice the first couple weeks.
But to my original brilliant point about just get rid of OTAs, period, that's not being talked about, that everybody should come to me and realize that I've got genius here. Listen, we watched them in training camp last year. They were literally going through the motions like it was in slow motion.
Right, and we explained to you those are called walkthroughs.
That was the stretching portion of practice.
That's when they install the offense in the first session.
There were literally
it's like, why are they running this slant route so slowly?
There were long periods of OTAs that were walk slow, throw it 1 mile an hour, you catch it. They can get up to speed just fine.
They're installing the playbook.
You Coach Hoge and your special teams Carmel, they don't need OTAs to be ready for the season. I guarantee.
We start summer camp June 10th. And that's high school football.
Yeah. Newsflash: professional players are better than high school players. They don't need that much time to relearn how to play football. I'm telling you, if you ask them right now, do you need OTAs to get ready for the season? If you and you asked the NFL players to vote, it would be 98%. No, we don't. No, we're good. I got it. No problem. You think
Then why aren't they proposing that?
Because
they don't have Carm's genius.
They don't have my genius.
I don't know
whether you're talking about something that's not even on the table.
I don't even know. I don't know.
They don't have Carm's genius in the boardroom where he makes these like funny noises and all the other things he does in our meetings.
I will, when I get an opportunity to ask that question, I will ask it. Whenever the next time there's open locker room.
Hippie Nerd has a question that I am wondering myself right now. How does Carm have this job and not understand scouting or walkthroughs?
What part of that I don't understand? Hippie Nerd.
I'd like you to show up to 1 week of Carmel summer camp, and that would give you an idea of why you need OTAs.
Honestly,
it literally would help you.
It would help.
You need that, and I'm going to make you do the drills too.
You literally.
Did he just start crying?
Yes,
Did he just start crying?
Yes, because all these football coaches, now you included, you think you've like cracked the code of some genius thing that you figured out football, and you want to flex at everybody and be like, you don't understand how hard football is. We need all this time. We need absolutely, believe you me, our special teams must get in there, and we must snap and hold and kick.
I'm going to ask you a genuine question about your sport.
For hours on end, yes.
I'm going to ask you a genuine question I don't know the answer to about your sport.
Which is my sport.
Tennis.
Yeah. Okay. Go ahead. Different, but go ahead. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, no, it's different.
Well, it is.
If a player took 6 weeks off, in the middle of the season, in the middle of the year, and then they showed up for Wimbledon, would they be ready to go?
No, they wouldn't. But that's not the same thing. They would, because everybody else is playing. In football, if everybody was off, they would all be on the same schedule, and it'd be up to you how much you want to work out in the offseason, how much stronger you want to get. And dudes that are insane would have an edge, and those that didn't would not. But if everybody was on the same schedule, that's different.
Then let me change it a little bit. If there was no tennis, they spaced out the French Open and Wimbledon for 6 weeks, and they all just showed up at Wimbledon, and you were expected ready to go. You think everybody would be healthy and ready to go? Would it be the greatest tennis you've ever seen?
So there is 6 weeks between the end of the season and the Australian Open, which starts the year. And so that is a very key point of the year, because who's going to start the year healthy and ready and emotional and ready to go. But that is internal. That's where
and then also the part of this that you're totally missing is that tennis, you just go out there and you play. You don't have to learn plays. You don't have to know an entire system. You don't get traded from one team to the next. We have to learn a whole thing and spend the offseason doing. Which is what football is.
Right. Adam.
No other sport has that.
Adam. The Bears are going to start training camp this year on July 20th. Okay?
Yes.
July 20th. Yeah. The first game is what is the first date? September the 10th?
Something like that.
That is enough time to get them ready. They don't need OTAs. They don't. That is eternity. They'll be ready. They're getting there July 20th. Okay. That's 17
Okay, but that's
weeks.
That's 2 teams because they have the Hall of Fame game.
Whatever.
Typically, it would
July
be a week
27th,
later.
they'll be ready.
Right, you're saying 1 month is enough to be ready for the season, and you're wrong. There's a lot of moving pieces in football.
They play a game 12 days after they report to training camp. And I get it's a preseason game, but you still need to be able to go in the huddle if you're Caleb Williams and spit out the 20 words that are in the play.
Did you see the video of Dan Orlovsky showing the playbook?
You need to rewatch that video.
All right.
Did you watch it?
Did you watch the video, dumbass?
Listen to me. That's my next thing too. How about this? Let's dumb down the plays too.
That I agree with you.
Do we have to do red 6 9 4 6 3 4? Just blue 6 4. Let's go. Done.
See, but that's the thing.
Now we're ready.
Easy for you to say when there's a 300-pound defensive end that figures out blue 6-4 by the second drive of the game and gets off and crushes you.
Robert Lee, for your asking, Dan Orlovsky put a video on Twitter of him showing a playbook from like 2008, and it is as big as like 5 encyclopedias, and like
I thought you were gonna do something different there.
Trying to explain just how intricate a playbook is. So there's a happy medium here, Carm, because I do think football guys will try to make football seem more complicated than it actually is. But you're dumbing it down, trying to act like it can be much more simpler than it realistically can be.
No, I'm not trying to get it to the point where when I was dominating on the Burton Park fields that you go here, you go there, you go this way, and that's how we did it. And, I got smoked by Eric Israel when I tried to run him over.
I'm going to try to meet you back in reality land, which is where the NFLPA is actually coming from here.
Sure, let's go.
What I do agree with you about halfway is that I don't think they need as much as they're doing now. I don't think you just get rid of OTAs, but I think what the NFLPA is proposing is they're not proposing 6 extra weeks of training camp. That's not what we're talking about here. Yeah. They're talking about moving the offseason program to right in front of training camp. It would be the same stuff, but it would be right in front of training camp. And where I'm going to meet you halfway is I do think it can be shortened, like maybe in half. But having 3 full weeks to install everything in meetings and strength and conditioning and all that before you get out there in padded practices in the middle of summer, you still need that.
Great.
You're an idiot if you think they don't.
Great. Hold on. You can hit tab the rest. Great. Conflict resolution. I agree. Half the time before the season, done. Worked it out. There you go. Kevin Warren, call me. I'll get the stadium done too as quickly as we just got that done. What do you got? Go ahead, Braggs.
Well, let me ask you this, because
we don't need to pour a foundation for the new stadium. We can just skip that part.
Yeah,
it's going to be just fine.
Just get me in a room. I swear, I'll work it out. Pritzker, Warren, Bears, Brandon, call me.
I can speed this up by 2 years. We don't need foundation.
Carm does like to speed things. He gets to a point where he just starts saying words instead of sentences, so he does do that.
I think I can get that thing done.
let me ask you this, because you're saying it's not.
I do.
You're just pushing minicamp and OTAs and everything up, so it's all together, but it's not 6 extra weeks of training camp. But what I'm going to ask you is, at OTAs and minicamp, how much different are the practices than they are at training camp? Because nowadays there's
different.
12 practices at camp, and 6 of them aren't in pads. This isn't training camp at Bourbonnais anymore.
Yeah.
So, like, to me, that's what I'm saying. Like, it does, like, to me, it's that's to my point earlier, that it's going to feel like the whole thing is camp, because they don't really do camp like we remember camp.
Yeah, there's still a big difference, though. Like, last week's practice was like an hour 15. They're not in pads. It was mostly like 7-on-7.
Dude, they went out there and they throw the ball around. They stretch for 5 minutes, and then for like 15 minutes they run some like 38% intense drill.
Also, it's going to be great. Don't miss our recap show Friday.
Well, and Dark Prometheus, this is what I'm telling you. It says vastly different. OTAs are non-contract.
You just hate
helmets
football.
only. Come to Hallis Hall this year. They do the same thing. They'll schedule 12 practices, and I promise you, half or more than half, they won't be in pads. It's not training camp at Bourbonnais anymore. They do not push these guys as hard as they used to. And to me, to the point, I do think that sets up for why there are more injuries than in previous years. Corey Wooten agreed with this take, like as far as dumbing down or lessering the pressure of how hard you put on these guys.
Well,
Like,
every player that ever played that went through
The
much
grind.
harder training camps than they do now is going to say that it was much harder than when they played, and that they're not doing it now.
I do think it
But-
does them a disservice. I do.
I
Yeah,
agree, but
yeah,
there's rules in place that have to be followed with the pads.
They used to hit twice a day, 2-a-days. That's what they used to do.
Yeah, and that was stupid.
Well, yes, but as far as being a really good tackler and having that form
Right.
down,
Right,
they
tackling
were, they
and the
were
run game,
They were
that
better.
takes like a month into the season before any of that stuff looks competent. And like,
If you want to talk about other things,
so like, because if
yeah.
you watch the college football season is another good example of this. I mean, they have spring practices and they get ready and they have a certain ramp up period, but they don't have like a training camp like the NFL does. And then they don't have a preseason as well. They just go boom, week 1 out the gate. And for a lot of teams, it's a shit show those first couple weeks. That's why you schedule somebody that's not any good. And if you're, a team with aspirations and they put somebody tough on your week 1 schedule, you're pissed because your team isn't ready week 1. It takes time for everybody to click on all cylinders in a complicated sport like football.
I have no argument. Absolutely.
It's a lot.
Yeah, no doubt.
It's a lot.
You're going to be better later in the year than you are at the beginning of the year. And that's why there's a 17-game schedule where, at the end of the season, teams tend to be firing on all cylinders. And if they've won the war of attrition and most of their guys are healthy, then when the games really matter.
Wait, did you guys just make my argument from last week that it's November, December that matters?
What about those stats
Sounds
where
like
they
you
say
did.
when a team starts 0-2 or 0-3, their percentage of making the playoffs? And it's always really shitty. So those don't tell me
Yes.
they don't matter.
I didn't say they didn't
You
matter.
just said that.
No, I did not. I said at the end of the season it matters more. You want to be, if you could pick when you're playing well, genius Carmeler, you would pick the end of the year instead of the beginning of the year. By the way, and to your point about like the tackling and everything else,
I hate that fucking voice. I hate that voice. I hate the looks he gives me. I
lot
want
of
to just
voices.
throw this coffee in his face.
that's water. Thank you very much. We're hydrating well today. Listen,
Jose has a good question. How do you guys win in softball with Carm's coaching stance?
it's called championships, Jose.
He just
I don't-
shows up.
I don't push my players. I know exactly.
Shocking. This is the only sport he can win in, the one where you literally just show up with a couple beers and swing a bat.
We don't drink on this team until afterwards. Thank you. And you know how we win? Because we have good players, and I don't do anything. But
Now you sound like a football coach.
to the point about football and tackling and camp and
That's what we're talking about,
taking
yes.
more time. I
To the point about football. Yes, that's what this show's about.
Look, I just want to get on the record.
We were waiting for your point about football for years now.
I want on the record that I said when the whole make football safe thing happened and CTE and everything else, dude, football's dangerous. Thanks. Who didn't know that? And now y'all are going to try to make it's safe, which is impossible to do. I said at the time, have them all. I guarantee you, they'll all sign a waiver. I might not be able to walk, think, or eat my dinner once I'm done playing football. But yes, I want to play in the NFL. Done. And then we wouldn't have had to do every iteration to try to make the game safe when it's all BS anyway. They want to have an 18-game schedule and make you play on Wednesday and Thursday and Saturday and Sunday and Monday, and it's just all this dance to try to give you this perception that we really care about the players. All right, Hoge, fine. Yeah. I thought that was an important point to make.
Are you done?
Yes. It was the point that
they're not trying to make it safe. They're trying to make it safer. They're trying to lower concussion rates, which they have. No one's sitting there
trying to make
literally no one. This is a straw man argument. No one's sitting there going, "Oh, we've made football safe." Nobody is saying that.
They're not trying to make it safe. They're trying to make as much money as possible. They're trying to keep the most entertaining players on the field so you'll watch games and buy merchandise and drink beer and do everything else. That's what they're trying to do.
We've been trying to come up with segment ideas. I think having him as like a scarecrow animation for his straw man arguments. I think that's...
Oh. my thick, detailed argument man to my left with bullet points to the moon. Let me learn the depth of humanity from you.
Hippie Nerd says it's about brain damage, which you would know nothing about, Carm. I actually think this segment has shown that he knows a lot about brain damage.
I agree with everything I said on today's show, and I stand by my words.
We know.
Thank you.
Do we have any super chats? Can I go home?
Yeah, we have 2 super chats. H. Taraski, $10. Weirdest part for me was the overemphasis of God prayer in a video from a public organization. Weird for company presidents to do company prayer, no?
You know,
I had the same reaction. It was a little bizarre.
Yeah, and I had that same type of thought. It's coming from somebody who went to Catholic school, grade school, high school. I've never worked for a company where they pray. I don't have a problem with it.
Football is a little different, though. I mean,
well, we do pray. We do pray
before
at Carmel.
Game,
it's
right?
also a Catholic school.
But
though.
even
we have like
even non-Catholic schools, like a football team before the game will have a prayer in the locker room sometimes. Maybe not every school, but I think some. I mean, the McCaskies, the Bears organization, they're strong on religion. And so, that's a McCaskey policy.
You're right. It's probably a football thing.
It's a football thing to an extent. I'm not saying it's the most appropriate thing to have in a business setting, but at the end of the day, if somebody that's the president wants to lead people in prayer and you're not a prayer person and people are praying, you just kind of acknowledge that they're having their moment, bow your head with them, let them have their prayer. I don't think it's this huge violation of human rights.
I did not have a problem with it at all. I did have a problem with the prayer that happened at the stadium announcement thing, because that was just...
whatever.
That was off the rails.
I could go the other way with it and tell you why it's bad, but it's like, I don't know. Maybe it's too touchy of a thing.
Don't make any straw man arguments over there.
Craig Leach, $10. June 20th.
Make bull in a China shop argument.
First day of summer.
Yes, you do.
June 20th is the first day of summer. That's stupid. My pool's been open for 3 weeks.
Yeah. No, I'm not. Okay. Crystal.
Please, Crystal.
Thank you for the $10, Craig.
Thank you, Craig. We appreciate you, by the way.
Crystal also coming in with $10. I think throw in a super because just to...
She just was gonna.
Then there was only 2 super chats, so she's gonna throw one in just because there was only 2.
Thank you, Crystal. Happy Tuesday, guys. Keep up the great work. Love you guys and bear down.
Crystal's the best.
Did you see Crystal disagreed with you today, Carm?
Oh,
No,
thank
which
you.
one?
That's when you know he's had a bad show.
Which one is probably not a good
Crystal
point?
didn't agree with him?
Yeah.
Finally, we're getting some progress with Crystal coming to her senses.
Carm, I'm not with you.
They
on
need
this thing.
practice. Oh, well, so that's hey, listen. Crystal doesn't have to agree with everything I say, and vice versa. We're good. She's absolutely allowed to not believe in my brilliance at every single moment. I'm not saying they don't need practice. I'm just saying they don't need 3 months of practice. They're professionals. Cole Kmet probably last night, I'm sure he did 600 push-ups, 8 kale, and then somebody tried to hand him a ice cream cone on the street, and he was like, "No, I'm Cole Kmet. I wear 85 for the Bears, and I'm legit. I'm not doing that stuff." What's up?
Trey Toon says, "Let's all pray the stadium gets built."
Yes.
Now that's a prayer that should be said.
Kumbaya, my stadium. New song coming. Me and what's his face? Swersk.
Dave Swirsky?
Dave Swirsky.
You gonna
and
do
I
a
are-
song?
Dave Swirsky. I'm gonna email him after the show. Dave Swirsky and I are gonna do a duet. Kumbaya, my stadium. I'll let Swirsky write it, and then I'll just sing the Kumbaya part. You in?
No.
Ben's place. This show should be called The Three Stooges Talk Football. We're talking tennis on this show, Ben. All right?
First of all, Ben.
Earn your programming.
I'd be all for a tennis podcast starting and Carm moving to that one.
Rude. But this place needs a tennis podcast, and I am raising my hand right here once a week. Tennis. I'll fit it into my schedule somewhere. You didn't even talk about Rafa Nadal and his last French Open. I was crying yesterday. I don't know what you were doing. Probably.
What were you crying
watching-
about?
I was crying that I had to come to work today.
It was his last French Open, you jerk. He lost his Zverev.
Cried? Did you
yes,
really cry?
I did, actually, yes.
Did he win?
No, he lost. And
It
that's
just
why it was his last French
your
Open.
emotional attachment to tennis and Northwestern basketball, and then you make fun of anybody that has an emotional attachment to anything else with sports. But yet you have the same
that's right, Greg.
feelings
That's right,
with other things.
That's right. I'm an enormous hypocrite. You nailed it. no problem. Done.
Thank you.
No pushback whatsoever. Hypocrite. Right here. Thank you. I care about things that matter. You care about things that don't matter to me. I think you're an idiot. True story.
Hippie Nerd wants a golf podcast. We have one, Hippie Nerd. Check out Big Drive Energy. It's awesome. They went live when Scotty Scheffler got arrested. That was fun.
Can we do a couple of shout-outs?
Hell yeah, we
Oh,
can.
God, I was about to say goodbye.
Yeah, we got shout-outs
What do
and
we got in
diehards.
D block?
Well, we gave love to Bill Walton.
So don't bring it up. We already did it.
That's fine.
You didn't have anything else on Bill?
Well, I've gotten to meet like a lot. I've been very. Did somebody just toot? I just heard something. It was unbelievable.
I started
We just had a
laughing and
we just
air
had a
came through
Ditka
my-
moment on the show. I swear.
Toot?
Did you not hear that? Am I the only one that's got my ears open here?
Are you like the old man who didn't
It
even
wasn't
know,
me.
that didn't even know you did it?
If it was me, I wouldn't have said anything. But never mind. I'm sure it was just a chair noise from a. Okay, look, I've been fortunate to get to know a lot of people in the business, and which has been really cool. I would never have gotten to meet this person had I, or got to talk to him, like whatever, Shaquille O'Neal or Allen Iverson or whoever you want to name.
Braggs.
But I never got to hang with Walton, and I feel like it's just it's actually a huge. If I could have picked somebody, just watching him, I would have loved to have gotten to know Bill Walton. Like that would have been such a. I feel like I really missed out.
Yeah,
it's such a great dude. So
You guys would have gotten along.
yeah, we totally I would have been Walton and I would have been friends, 100%. I love that guy. R.I.P. Miss him, and yeah, and then Angel Hernandez.
Yeah.
Yep. Angels out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss him.
You know, I'm happy. I got to see.
Guy was so bad, it was good.
I got to see Angel Hernandez on my birthday this year in Milwaukee. He missed like 6 calls in the first 2 innings, and I didn't know at the time that was my birthday present. That would be the last time I'd have to watch him ump a game in person.
He's like that old school where the strike zone was as big as both batter's boxes.
You know, dude, that was 7,000 feet outside on the tracker.
You know, there's many times in this business where we get put in kind of a tough position where, like, nobody wants anybody to lose their jobs, right? Like, we understand that they have families. Okay.
Oh, no,
this guy has spent 3 decades doing just fine with the paychecks.
Yeah.
Doing a terrible job calling baseball games as an umpire.
1,000% deserved to get fired or whatever happened to him.
And did it arrogantly many times.
100%.
Out there with the way he handled himself with players. So it's remarkable how unanimous the reaction to this is. To the point that you almost start to feel bad. I know, at least I'll speak for myself. I started to yesterday a little bit. And then I remind myself, it's not like this guy like just got the job a week ago and was so bad and then lost his gig. Mm-hmm. He's been doing this for 3 decades. And most of everybody in baseball for the last 15 years at least has been like, this guy shouldn't be a major league umpire.
He literally should have been fired the night at Wrigley Field that Steve McMichael called him out. 2002, he should have been booted. Mongo had it right.
Which was an amazing moment.
That was incredible.
And how mad he was.
He kicked Steve McMichael out from home plate to the press box. You need to get out of here. Yeah. The most ridiculous thing of all time.
So happy trails, Angel Hernandez.
Angel Hernandez. May all of us have the job security that Angel Hernandez was afforded.
You might need it after this show.
Yeah, no, I'm in deep trouble.
Who is the ref, you know, in football that's like Angel Hernandez? Do we have one that's like synonymous for always getting?
We did.
Joey Crawford in the NBA. That guy needed to be kicked out.
Oh my God, I'm blanking on his name. It was
all the replacement refs. Remember that?
There is TWE. There's footage of
the Packers got screwed out of a win against the Seahawks. That was hilarious.
TWE. There is footage of the Mongo ejection. You can find it on YouTube,
especially in the last 24 hours since this news came out. Man, who's that one ref I'm thinking of? I think it starts with Jeff, too.
Hockley?
Jeff Hockley, that's it.
Was it Jeff Hockley?
That was Ed Hockley.
I know it was Ed. I just threw in a Hockley because every time you get a chance to Hockley, you should Hockley.
He was so bad for so many years, and then they finally quietly made him go away. I mean, there was the Tony Correnti thing. I didn't think Tony Correnti was really that bad a ref, but the way he went out in that Bears game.
Jeff Triplett? Something like that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jeff Triplett.
Yeah, H. Trasky has it too.
Was so, yes, thank you. Was so bad, and he kept getting like the wild card round, like they throw him a bone and give him the wild card game, and then you wouldn't see him the rest of the playoffs, and then finally he retired. He drove me crazy. There's definitely some Adam Hoge, Jeff Triplett tweets out there in the Twitter world.
Well, just all I know to Angel Hernandez, there is a 90-year-old ump in this 12-inch softball league on Sundays. My guy Maury. Maury does a better job than Hernandez at 90. Maury, you keep going, my friend. Maury is past his prime. Colin Calling. Hey, I promised my little sister you give her a shout-out, Carmen. Whitney from Iowa, living in Chicago for over 10 years. Whitney, welcome. Whitney?
Do it in Jordan voice.
Certainly, Whitney.
You still haven't done the diehards?
She starts with a W.
This is for Whitney.
It's a victory every day. You get to hang with Whitney. And Whitney is a big fan of the show, and we appreciate her. Whitney, thank you for being here. No, I have not done the diehards, Hogue. Because, I'm having fun, and it's been a good show, even though you don't think it was.
There was one moment in my morning where I thought I could make the 1:30 train home. and then I was like,
yeah,
there's no chance.
We have a meeting after the show today. Our diehards today are it's an incredible tandem. First off, we want to talk about Debbie. Debbie's got passion.
Is she a downer?
No, she's the opposite. She's not Debbie Downer. She is Debbie
Uppers.
You are a very smart man, and who has great command of the English language. And quite frankly, I'd like to be more like you when I grow up.
You should.
Debbie is a delight. Debbie has, from the moment that Debbie stepped into this world, she made the world a better place. And now, Debbie leading us to the top of Die Hard Mountain. She is, you can just picture her there right now. She's got the flag, the CHGO flag, and it doesn't say Debbie on it.
Mm-hmm.
It just says, let's all do this together. Debbie. Welcome to the Die Hard family. Thank you. Jim Cook gets me. Thank you, Jim. And James. And, every time I get a James, I think about big games. I think about big game James, and I think about the way James comes up big in the biggest moments. When the deal is on the line, when everybody's meeting in the conference room, and you need someone to lead you to victory, James has been doing that. And that's why James has got that swelled wallet, and he's got that swelled life. And I'm looking at two people who don't appreciate you as much as I do, James.
I'm actually locked in. I could have been filming Hoge here, who
like he was doing Bragg's
like
face.
he was doing me. He's doing my face. He's completely checked out.
I was just looking and signing my son up for flag football.
I mean,
I like this part. This is one of my favorite parts of the show. So I'm locked in because you never know where you're gonna go with this.
I had
It's been the last 40 minutes of this show.
I had you on a fishing trip that you were booking or something, like you were like renting an RV for some Hoge vacation in August of next year because you were always planning things out. And by the way, James is a planner too. James knows exactly where to go. He knows how to plan, and that's why he had a great plan to become a diehard, and we congratulate him. James, welcome to the diehard family.
I swear the earlier you come in and the more prep you do for a show, the worse your shows are.
Was I the only one that was on the show today? Why is this? It's my show. You did a bad show. You two were just here watching me do a bad show.
It was fun. I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Now you're getting that show. It was a good show.
It's like giving a child a gun.
Instead, we give Carman a microphone.
Now Clayton Bryant is giving Hoge sympathy. We get that all the time. Like, poor Hoge, yes, the deal came and bragged. Poor Hoge.
That's true.
Poor Hoge. It's so hard for him to deal with these guys.
It is.
It is.
I have 4 kids at my house right now as of Saturday. And I was actually looking forward to coming to work today to be with you guys. As a break from that, this has been harder.
Well, now we have to do a snippet from behind the scenes.
Whack yourself.
Snippet from behind the scenes. You walked in today like, I have 4 kids. If you guys say one word that's annoying, I'm gonna kill both of you. That was the walk in today.
That did happen.
And I was like, I've been here sitting in peace since 7:42. It was such a great morning. Me and my thoughts in the conference room.
It's my daughter's last day of kindergarten today. She gets out of school in an hour. I'm gonna go pick her up.
Not if Carm keeps talking.
I'm gonna take her to like an arcade or something. I don't know yet. I'm trying to figure out where I'm gonna take her. Maybe I'll take her golfing.
Yes.
That's what she's always wanted.
You get to ride in the cart this time. This is where Daddy always is.
Yes.
If you didn't like this show, then I don't like you. This was a great show. Who puts on a better...
Can we clip that as a promo? That was pretty good. All right, we're out of here. We'll be back tomorrow at noon. Nick will be here.
You didn't like this show, then go fuck yourself.
We all silly like the mayor.